I would think it would be every day. It would be something you're doing every day. This is what my lesson plans are like every day. My lesson plans are proficient every day.
And it's a paper turn-in thing?
Oh, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. You would provide us with some evidence of it. You know, this is what my lesson plans look like. If you're on the instructional planner and you're using it the way it should, it'll be pretty easy for us to find out what you're planning and what it's about. So if you've kept up with that, you're ahead of the game, which is good. But you know, it's not going to be just what we see the one time we're in your classroom. One, we have to be in your classroom a lot more now, a lot more. And you know, these artifacts will just be these things you're giving us. These off-stage things are going to be samples of what you do every day, hopefully.
And I think with the lesson, the planning part of it is, you know, do your lesson plans. You know, the lesson plans that you give me to look at or give your evaluator. You know, is that what I see when I go in the classroom? You know, there are cases where you know, you get a very detailed lesson plan, you know, and you go in and, you know, the obvious time and attention that went into making this lesson plan didn't go into how am I actually going to put this into practice, you know, and vice versa can happen too. You know, we're going to read chapter 5. Well, that's not a very good lesson plan, but when I go in the room, we're not, you know, reading chapter 5 isn't just us sitting there reading it. Reading chapter 5 involves a lot of different things. So I think there needs to be you know, you just need to make sure there's a connection between what you say is this is how I plan for my lessons and what I actually do. So I mean, to me that's going to be an important aspect as well.
You can give us an artifact that looks really good, but we don't ever see that. I mean, that artifact's not going to be very, very realistic. You can give us something that looks really good, looks like it's something that's outstanding, but we don't ever see anything that resembles that when we're in there. Yeah? I'm not necessarily saying that lesson plans are 1A. Lesson plans are in there somewhere. I was just using that as an example. Sorry about that.
Your planning is more, designing is more 1E, which is, I think, is designing coherent instruction. Right. I mean, that would be more the lesson planning component.
For the most part, domain 1 is not on stage. There are some examples in that 1A that talk about what you actually did in your classroom. But for the most part, domain 1 is not on stage. It's all the planning.
So within each domain, there are components. A, B, C, D, E, F. Those are all considered components. So within each component is a rubric to say, so for component 1C, you're proficient. For component 1B, you're basic. So within each domain, there's going to be a rating for each, there's a rubric for each component. Right? Does that make sense? Is that cleared up? So each component, you'll be rated on each component. So you'll have six ratings for domain 1. Basic, proficient, or distinguished for domain 1. And then we'll take all those to determine what your overall rating is for that domain. Yeah.
But within that domain, say 1E is weighted more than the others.
Yes. And that comes into play on the overall evaluation that we'll talk about if that's accepted. And like he said, the essential components weren't chosen by us or the committee. That's what Danielson and her group say are the essential components. Any other questions with domain 1? What it entails, what it is?
It kind of makes it sound like a grade. You have 6 classes. You do good in one and not real good in the other, and then you get an overall GPA. Your overall score.
Right.
Maybe one class is really, really important. The other one is just kind of. We got one that's within that. You got some that are more important than others. And you maybe want to put a lot of attention, make sure you do that really well. The other one's going to do well too, but because you know it affects your overall GPA. In some sense, you got a grade for each
basic is the best you can do. I remember when I was evaluated, I always got written down on how nice my room looked, because I didn't do bulletin boards and I didn't do, and I was like, okay, that's fine with me. Chalk me in satisfactory on that if you want, because that's not as important to me. If I'm teaching my kids well, then I don't care that I have a new bulletin board on the thing every 2 weeks. So, and I think here's the same way. These are all different, and maybe 1C, I don't even know what 1C is off the top of my head, maybe that's something I'm not very good at, and maybe I think it's not as important, and if I'm okay being basic there, then, all right. And there's other parts of 1 that I may be very good at, and I center my attention more on. Part of what you will do, as the whole process, is you will write, here are my goals, and you will pick things you want to get better at. And then, part of your evaluation will be, have you done that?
And then your overall, after you have your GPA, then your overall class rank would be your final evaluation. I like that analogy.
That's a good, yeah.
We're gonna post a teacher by rank, isn't that what we talked about?
Yeah.
All right, so as we, basically the pages that we're going to put up here are right out of your book, okay? With each one, you're going to have the 4 rating areas, okay? And then the 2 pages that follow are going to expand on a little bit on the different, unsatisfactory, basic, proficient, and distinguished. And you can see the critical attributes listed below them for each different level. So again, there's not, there's no cookie cutter type of, all the critical attributes aren't geared towards any one level. So as you familiarize yourself with it, you're going to have to kind of, again, reflect on what you do and where you think that fits.